Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Ascent Meridian Technology Center's live stream. I am Julie Griffin. I'm one of the project managers here in Workforce and Economic Development, and I am so excited to be back with you live again today. I've got a wonderful guest lined up. If you have been to any of our lunchtime learning programs here at Meridian, you have probably seen her. But Ms. Amie Haar is our guest today. She's a wonderful trainer, strengths coach, and a wonderful friend to me and many others within my department. So without further ado, I am going to bring out Miss Amie.
Hello. Good, very early afternoon, I guess, on Friday.
Yes. Hello, Amie. It is almost, we're only 3 minutes past morning,
Okay.
so good morning still would have allowed. It still would have been fine.
Okay.
Good morning somewhere still.
Yes, in Colorado.
That
We have a morning in the Colorado still.
is true. So I'm so glad you're here. And before we get started, I just want to encourage anybody who's watching on my page, on Meridian's page, on Amy's pages, because we are simultaneously broadcasting everywhere. Make sure and drop a comment because that's how we know that you are here. The little eyeball thing tells us that we have people here, but we can't see it if you don't comment. So Sarah, excited to be
Hey, there she is. Hi, Sarah.
And then we've got Jacqueline here.
All right.
And Abby Fox.
She's got my kids eating spaghetti, so we were extra glad that you were here, Abby.
Awesome. Very good. Oh, yes. There's Mama Jackie.
Mama Jackie's here too. Yay.
Very good. Well, all of you who are here, thank you for being here and for commenting. And I encourage you to still comment as we go along because it's fun to have some interaction.
Yes.
If you are having issues on mobile, YouTube is a better watching experience. If you're on LinkedIn, don't tell them I said that.
Nobody said anything.
But it is because we want you to have a good watching experience as well.
Yes.
Okay, so with that being said, just give us a quick intro. Who is Miss Amie Haar?
Wow. Okay. So, since we are talking about assessments, personality, and otherwise assessments today as tools, I'll kind of take that avenue. So, first got started with an interest. I've always been fascinated with people and how they tick since I was itty bitty, and winding journey anywhere, but landed in a Clifton Strengths Finder class when I worked for OSU several years ago. And many of you have heard me, I'm sure, tell this before, but the shorthand of it is was sitting there and for the first time up to that point in my life, somebody had specifically called out empathy as a superpower. And up to that point, it was something that I had always connected with, that I was too much of something or not enough of something. And in that moment, it was like, kind of yanking me out of that and going, no, this is a gift for you. And so that really got me started with the extra fascination on the Clifton Strengths, so Gallup Strengths for a while, and really diving into those and what that can mean, not only for me, but for those that I work with, live with, have friendships with, whatever that is, and how it really creates a language for us to be able to talk and say, oh, that's how I approach things too, or I approach things differently or think about things differently. And so, and that was, oh my gosh, 15 years ago. And so now, fast forward, I'm a nationally certified Clifton Strengths coach and have been doing this for about 6 years now.
Very good. Very good.
Yes.
So you mentioned that you were with OSU previously and now you're out on your own, right?
I am, yes.
Okay. So what kind of things, like what is your specialty? What are your clients? Like what do you do with them?
So really the high level of that is I do a lot with relationship building, a lot with emotional intelligence, communication, and those types of things. And I use the foundation of Clifton Strengths to kind of use as a springboard because that's where my interest and my expertise lies. that being said, when we're coaching or we're doing the team collaboration, or we're doing organizational alignment, or those types of things, I also always want to bring in any of those other assessments that have really clicked with them, because for each person, I think maybe it's a time in their life, or maybe it's just the way that it's set up, whether it's a different part of our brains that's recognized, or how we feel things or do things. It means something different to everybody. And so even though Clifton Strengths is mine, I love to have a little bit of knowledge about the working genius that you do. We have a Colby A assessment that I know somebody on here today who is an expert in that, or an Enneagram, or a DISC, or a Myers-Briggs. I think they all give us just, again, a tool and a way to learn about ourselves so we can learn about others too.
For sure. And I love that you mentioned that, because I say that when I do my working genius training is, if you remember the children's movie Shrek, he said ogres are like onions, they have layers. I said, people are like onions too. We also have
Yes.
layers, and each one of those assessments looks at a different layer of who we are.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's really fun to be able to look at those different layers, and even how they overlap. And I know you and I have talked a little bit about how working genius and strengths overlap.
Oh, absolutely. And how, you'll have one assessment, and you're looking through this, and you're getting familiar with it, and you're seeing the things that you're like, yes, oh my gosh, it's like somebody wrote this about me specifically. And then adding in another layer, exactly as you said, of going, okay, now I can know more about this in this way. And when I'm talking about enablement, which is one of my geniuses, then I'm going to see empathy and strategic and communication, and those things show up as well. So it's not a this or this, it's a this and this.
For sure. So talk a little bit about how the companies that you work with, or the teams that you work with, utilize strengths, and like how that has helped transform their teams.
So first of all, I think the willingness, number one, for any organization, any team, to dive into something like this together, and to have the opportunities for individuals to really dig in and see, who am I, or what's more about me, or what I can understand or give language to about me, and then how can we work as a team. And so one of the formats that we'll use is we'll do either a 3-hour or a 2-day back-to-back hour and a half, and then another hour and a half session. Of the first half is specifically used for the individuals to get really comfortable with the results, and dig through them, and talk about the questions they have, or the things that they agree with or disagree with. We always have somebody who's like, I wanted, this instead, because this is too easy, and really talking to them about the reason it comes easy to you is because it's your natural gifts and abilities. How can we really lean in? So we talk about that first, let them soak that in, and then share that with each other. And then we turn to, now, how can we look at this as a team and use all of these results? And, are we highly strategic? Are we highly relationship, building? And are we influencers? Are we, do we get things done? What does that look like? And then it also, I want to say, takes the emotion out of it a little bit, because we're looking at data and facts. And yes, I mean, we're people, so we have that in there too. But now it's like, there's a reason that we struggle sometimes as a team with moving forward in projects, or there's a reason that sometimes we struggle with everybody knowing what it is that we do. And so it's like shining a light on the good stuff and the stuff that we can grow in, but it lays a plan out in front of them as well. And so that's really how we use it at the fundamental level first. And then there again, then you can just layer and go, I would say, maybe this way instead of this way, the deeper part or wider part.
Yeah. For sure. So I know and like I'm familiar with strengths, but well, obviously not versed in it. So we each have our top five, right? And when you were just talking, you mentioned like whether we're like strategic or relationship builders or whatever.
Yes.
What there's five overarching categories within strengths or that encompass the 34. Is that right?
4. Yep, there's 4
There's four.
different
So
areas.
what are those four?
Strategic thinking, executing, um, lost the I word. There it is. Executing. I'm looking at the colors now instead
Yeah.
of the word. So strategic thinking, executing, relationship building, and then the influencing.
Okay. So
Yes.
what are the big differences between those four categories?
Sure. Once again, it's the way that we approach,
Okay.
you know, life, the way that we approach even projects, the way we approach people or processes. And so, if you've got somebody who we say is, very high in the strategic thinking area, then that means I would say 3 plus of their top 5 strengths, talents, themes fall within that strategic thinking area. And so those are the people that you want to really put in the forefront of the thinking part of things. And how do we go about, and even how do we strategize? How do we navigate? And then you have your relationship builders, and those are the
Mhm.
people a lot of times. And there again, if around the top 2 to 3, usually 3 plus of their top 5 fall within that category, then they are going to be experts in that area. Same with the other two. The thing that we always talk about being aware of, because double-edged sword, or the things that are
Mhm.
our strongest can also be some of our weaknesses, is when we get off balance with those things. And so, for me personally, empathy. I have to be careful with that and have really healthy boundaries around that, because if all I'm
Mhm.
using all the time is empathy, then that's unhealthy for me or anybody else around me. So I have to make sure I keep that in balance.
Very good. So I'm curious, is there any I'm sure there is data behind it, but do most people have strengths in all of the categories, or how common is it for somebody to not have like I just pulled up my report. I don't have influencing until number 16.
Okay. Okay. So actually, it's more common for people to not have all
Okay.
4. Only in their top 5, because we have all 34
Mhm.
somewhere in there. For
Yeah.
me, consistency doesn't come until number 34 out of 34. And so that's something that I never, ever, ever am going to be great at. It's something I can do, but
Mhm.
it takes so much energy and so much thought and so much focus for me to stay consistent, with
Yeah.
consistency, that it would be better for me to pull in somebody else who has it in their top 5, and then we balance each other out, instead of my struggle or focus or frustration
Mhm.
with consistency.
Very good. And I love that you brought that up that, you know what your very lowest strength
Yes.
is. And I
Yeah.
think our tendency as human beings is to go to the bottom of that list, be like, oh, what do I need to improve upon? And
Yes.
really that's not what the assessments are there to show us.
No.
Because like if especially going from the working genius lens, like we know what our two geniuses are and we know what our two frustrations are. Why would you willingly do work that's going to suck the life out of you? Like,
Right.
lean into that work that gives you life and energy and
Yes.
fulfillment, and then find others around you who have those geniuses that are your frustrations
Yeah.
and, give them the gift of doing that type of work, just like you said.
Yes. Yes. I love that you use the word gift, Julie, because it
Mhm.
is. I saw that Lorinda's on there, and she said she'd be the consistent
Yay!
is number 5 is for her. And so that is exactly the point, is to understand that number 1, we're not alone. We can't do it alone. Cannot,
Mhm.
not possible. And what a gift it is to somebody else to say, you, Lorinda, have consistency in your number 5. How can we do this? Or how can we partner? Or even how can I make some changes to where then I have some routines and some
Mhm.
consistencies in whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Lorinda says she'll be consistent for you because it's number 5. Lorinda, I know this because like we know Lorinda, but her number 1 is maximizer, which
Yes.
happens to me by 34.
Hey, so she's got us both.
She's got us both covered. And I think this is one of the beautiful things about these types of
Yes,
assessments is we can like it just gives you a deeper understanding of the people around you and being
correct.
able to understand, oh, that's why they are the way they are. And that's one of the huge things that I love about Working Genius. It's that aha moment of, oh, that's why I am the way I am.
Yes.
And then I think I wrote it in my post today, like once you understand yourself, it's easier to understand others and give them grace for the things that you might find annoying, but that's just really how they're wired. And
Yes.
there is value and a gift in that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know Sarah, who's on here right now as well. She's the expert in the Colby A
Uh-huh.
assessment. There she is. Yes, owning your 34 too. But we joke all the time about, for the language in Colby is fact
Mhm.
finding, and
Okay.
she is an expert in fact finding and will find all the information and is hungry for that information. Where I am so low on that fact finding, that again, it brings that balance, and so I don't have to spend all of my time and spin my wheels.
Mhm.
And there are times like where you said where it's like, we're approaching this differently. So instead of
Mhm.
coming at it like this, then how
Mhm.
can we collaborate instead? And
Yes.
the same that you and I have talked about with,
Mhm.
our strengths and geniuses and all of that
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah, and I wanna dive into that a little bit.
Yes.
Um, so we both share empathy in our top 5.
Yeah.
It's number 2 for you, it's number 5 for me.
Yeah.
We both share enablement as a genius. It's your second, it's my first.
Yes.
And then just because she popped in here, Lorinda also has enablement as a genius.
Yeah.
But the 3 of us are very different people, and we
Very.
show up very differently, and I think that's why it's important to look at those different assessments
Yes.
because with Working Genius, there's only 6, and
Yes.
the 6 are very powerful, and they can
Yeah.
really change, like, the way you work and work
Yes.
with people once you understand them, and then you bring in somebody like you where you can go a little bit deeper to
Yes.
understand those other factors that influence how we show up.
Absolutely. And you're seeing that it's not different either.
Mhm,
It's a different way to look at who you are, but it's not uh, hopefully you're not going to come in with results and go, this does not align with this at all. Even the language of some of the
mhm,
explanations within enablement and discernment for me, well, those align directly with my top 5 or even my Enneagram number 2 or whatever that is. It's all, and there's Taylor, empathy
yeah,
people unite. Yes.
yes,
Unite and have boundaries.
yes, and have boundaries. Well, and I wanna point out or piggyback on something you just said
Yeah.
about, like, the language, like, when you take an assessment and you're like, "Oh, I'm not sure I agree with that," that's the value of having somebody who is the expert. So, like, when it comes to
Yes.
strengths, like, if I don't understand something, I know I can go to you and be like, "Help me understand what this means."
Correct.
And
Yeah.
I've seen that too with Working Genius when somebody says, "Well, I don't think I have this genius. It makes sense to me that I'm this."
Yeah.
And I can go back through and be like, "Okay, well, yes, that's what you see through your lens. However, that's coming from this angle where it's like discernment and tenacity a lot of times get confused. So like, well, I ask a lot of questions. Isn't that discernment? I'm like, well, it
Okay.
can feel like that, but you're really coming at it through a place of tenacity where tenacity craves clarity. And so they're
Yes.
clarifying questions versus like discernment questions.
Yes.
And I know having helped people do that has been very valuable, and I know you have helped me really understand, like, especially, like, restorative. I had
Yeah.
no idea what it meant, like, the restorative genius, and
Yeah.
after working with you, it's like, "Oh, okay, like, yeah, that is me."
Yes. And it just that is, when you ask about how I go about it or how I work with teams, it comes down to I tell you what, I don't even have words clearly as I'm stumbling over them, but that moment when you see somebody feel seen. And that, I
Mhm,
mean, it makes me even a little bit emotional because we know how it feels. And now I can go, oh my gosh, I can talk about this is why I have these specific needs, or this is why I
Mhm.
have these specific processes, or the way that I go about something, and there's nothing wrong with me.
Yep.
And to be able to help people flip that script or language for
Mhm.
themselves, but then help them with the language to be able to tell the people around them, this
Mhm.
is how I approach things, and it may be different than how do you approach them, and how do you? It helps people with
Mhm.
curiosity with each other as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that curiosity piece because really, when you're coming at things from a place of curiosity, it's a lot
Yes.
easier to kind of dig deeper and understand. And on the other side, to be vulnerable, to know that they're
Yes.
coming from a place of curiosity and understanding versus like accusation.
Judgment. Yeah.
Yes,
Of
judgment.
what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because there's nothing wrong with me. I'm
Nope.
just not wired for
For
XYZ.
whatever. Yeah.
Galvanizing. Like we share that as a frustration. Like
Yes, we do. And always
not
will.
wired, not wired for that.
I
And
could do
that's
a little
okay.
bit of it. Yes, but not a lot.
Yes. Not a lot. Not a lot. Yes. So what's kind of on tap for Amie coming up?
Yeah. So this spring, we were able to do a lot of new, different content, and bring in, again, like I said, I use a lot of this when I'm writing content, even for trainings, or when I'll go to speaking engagements and those kinds of things. This is the lens in which I usually work,
Mhm.
whether I'm saying Clifton Strengths or whether I'm
Yeah.
not. It's that seen, heard, valued. And so I think growing some of those areas, I think last time we talked on live, but a different
Yeah.
avenue of live, I really enjoyed learning more about energy and paying attention
Mm.
to energy management versus time management. Not
Mhm.
that time management, that there is anything wrong with that, but that has been transformational for me, as
Mhm.
far as how I'm looking at my days or my weeks or even my months. And so working that into just an additional tool for when I'm
Mhm.
coaching one-on-one or as a team, when we're seeing the burnout and everything
Mhm.
else, just how can we drill down with that a little bit more? And so that is something that is really exciting. And then we did just a week or so ago a topic on storytelling and how do we help
Mhm.
others, um, how do we help others feel safe and comfortable and help provide that space for them to tell their story. And even with that, again, sharing, these are my top 5, and
Mhm.
these are the things that I'm really great at, and these are the things that I really struggle with. And so those are 2 things that I'm excited to continue moving forward with,
Mhm.
as far as studying. And then just the how can we continue to layer these tools with, partnering with you, partnering with people like Sarah, partnering with people,
Mhm.
that what does this look like holistically, and how can we help people with that?
Very good. I love that. And I feel so lucky and blessed to work at a place like Meridian where I
Yes.
get to dig in and use something that I love with the Working Genius to help people, and then also get
Yeah.
to work with people like you who have, a similar but different skill set to
Yeah.
help people.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think it's a win-win situation.
It is. It's so exciting when to have, again, just that like you said, this group of people, whether it's, Meridian or the community or even outside of that, to go, okay, here's what we're looking at. But if that doesn't work for you, and if that's not something that's clicking for you, here's another person, and here's
Mhm.
another tool. And let's make sure that they can continue on this and be successful and connect in with whatever that looks like for them.
Yep. Very good. What is something that you're celebrating this week?
Oh, celebrating. There's a lot to celebrate this time of the year. Um, Are you talking about me personally, me
Hey,
professionally, me, Amie?
we are people. We are not just workers. This is what I tell people all the time. Like, we are not just workers. So take your pick, whether it's something professional Amie or mom Amie, whatever you want to celebrate with us. I would love to celebrate with you.
Okay, well, the celebration, especially this time of the year, I immediately thought of my 3 kids, and that's why I asked you, because I was like, do I need to talk about myself here? Because I will.
Yeah.
But they are wrapping up some big milestones. So my 4-year-old Warren, we as a family will be finishing up at this amazing school/daycare that we've been at for a family for several years. So he'll be wrapping that up and moving into big school next year. And then my 8-year-old, he is finishing 2nd grade, and we're going to be transferring to a new school for him in the fall. And Warren will join, the 4-year-old.
Yeah.
So excited about that. And then my 13-year-old, she will be finishing up with middle school here. And so all of the celebrations and the ice cream parties and art shows and concerts and all of that, it's a good time of the year. We got all kinds of stuff to celebrate. Yeah.
It is a good time of year. It is,
Yeah.
it is good.
It's also bananas.
Yes. Yes. Which is why energy management comes in,
Energy
right?
management. Yes, we have to manage our energy, or we'll be puddles here in about 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, Taylor says needs to work on it. Yes.
We all do.
We all do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
It's
all
a cool
do.
thing to pay attention to. And when you start doing it, man, you realize the things that you can change pretty quickly and maybe need to change. So
Yep,
yeah.
for sure.
What about you? What are you celebrating this week?
Similar. Makes me think of my kids' soccer season is almost over, so that will
Yes.
be celebratory. My son went to he thinks he's gonna play clarinet in band next year, so he's super excited about that.
I play
And
clarinet.
just, I get to work here with wonderful people and do wonderful things, and I celebrate that every day. So
Me too. Me
yes.
too. Yeah.
So if somebody wants to work with Amie, whether it's on strengths or something else, like, what is the best way to get in touch with Amie?
LinkedIn is a great way to get in touch. We can connect. You can send me a message. There's a QR code. Yes. So feel free. I would love to hear from you, even if it's just a, hey, how are you? I'd love to connect. Or, hey, I did strengths and it's awesome. Or, hey, I did strengths and I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for you. And then through Meridian, of course, because like Julie, I in a different way. I'm so fortunate to be able to work with you all in this team often. So a couple of great ways, but those would be the best.
Awesome. Very good. And I'll go ahead and pop this one up here, this QR code right there.
There it is.
That'll go to Meridian's page. So if you want to scan that and go learn more about Meridian and what we do here in Workforce and Economic Development, we'd be happy to talk to you.
Yes.
So I knew that was going to go fast, but that is the end of our time. So thank you, Amie, so much for being here. Thank you to all of you who have tuned in and watched us and dropped comments. I didn't get to pop them all up on the screen, but I do see you and I appreciate you. Mark your calendars for next month. We'll be live again on the first Friday in June, which is June 7th. Happens to be my big brother's birthday.
Hey.
And we will have Rena Hines on with us. She's our director over adult education, more on like the health side. And she's going to share with us about some of the great things that they're doing over there in her department. So anything else before we go, Amie? Thank you. Thanks for hosting this and the great conversation. And thank you to everybody who commented or is watching. And it's just exciting to get to do what we do and to be able to see the ripples that it makes. So, yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again, Amie. Thank you all for being here. And we will catch you next time. Take care. Sounds good. Bye.